Hi, and welcome to If These Heels Could Talk. My name is Michelle, and I'm with Bad Cat Digital.
And I'm JoyGenea with Solutions by JoyGenea, and welcome to our podcast today. How are you doing today, Michelle?
I'm good. I'm tired. It's it's a long
bad.
week.
Just so you know.
Well, I'm
if
good.
you're
I'm
tired,
glad.
You
Thanks.
look good, honey. You look good. You're
Okay.
Sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm doing pretty good, and my husband will be like, those bags under your eyes are saying a different story.
You're maybe smuggling something there.
Yeah, it's like, what the heck, woman?
So, what are we talking about today? Because we discussed. We don't really argue. Discussed the title of this episode because we're talking about clickbait today.
Right, and I said, let's not have a clickbait title. And I think this is really important. Often I find people aren't able to translate, process, or it's just really easy what I find for people who are not around as much marketing as we are.
To click on clickbait?
Yes, to really be sucked in by that headline, particularly clickbait headlines.
Because it's intended. I mean, it is strategically and scientifically written.
Right.
Created, intended
algorithms. Like there are programs for this.
To elicit an emotional response.
Exactly.
And to elicit the kind of emotional response that you have difficulty controlling as an individual.
Yes.
On an individual level. That's what this is. I mean, this is
the
enough.
Definition. Webster's definition. Something such as a headline in particular. We're going to talk about clickbait headlines designed to make readers want to click on a hyperlink, especially when the link leads to content of dubious value or interest.
So the first thing to remember and recognize here is that every algorithm, and you've heard the word algorithm if you've talked about social media or heard every algorithm on the internet is intended to serve you more of what you've already identified your interest in.
And when we're talking about an algorithm, we're saying, I'm going to use Google as an example.
Yep.
Because it's a search engine. I think a lot of people understand and know. When you type in a search in Google, it goes, oh, wow. Well, if she's interested in generators for her camper.
Because she searched for that 3 days ago.
Right. Here's some more ideas and here's some more things.
And now
here's a gas station nearby. Here's a different type of generator you might be interested in. All of a sudden you'll notice that the things that show up on your phone, the things that show up along the sides. I'm fascinated by how when I just go to read an article, all of a sudden all of the ads completely go towards the things I've searched recently. And it's all
for every article you read. When you go back to your social media platform where you found the article, more articles like that are going to show up. So if you read articles that elicit a joyful response in you, or watch videos about puppies and kittens and whatever, then you're going to see more of that.
Correct.
And you're going to see longer formats and more heartfelt and you're going to see not only more in quantity, but more intense in that whatever that emotion is.
Okay, I got a great example.
And same thing if you're clicking on things that elicit an anger response in you.
It's very much about emotion. So to me, what I would say is clickbait equals emotional hijacking.
Yes.
That's really how I look at it. Their goal is to emotionally. Now imagine, I would never walk down a gauntlet. I would never walk down a bus full of people that were going to be hurling things that would emotionally trigger me.
No,
I would not.
Why would you put yourself in that situation?
You never do. But that is exactly what happens, and we don't understand that that's what's happening.
Right.
And so a good example, the very day I signed up for TikTok, the most enjoyable day on TikTok.
Because it was the most varied.
Yes.
Yeah.
It didn't know who I was, and you can't turn that off. There's not somewhere where I've dug around. I haven't found a spot where I can turn off their algorithm and just allow it to free flow.
No, but you can.
I can mess with it.
You can mess with it. So
I mess with it.
So, for example, this is a very timed thing. So by the time this podcast goes out, this will probably not be what's trending. So the Little Mermaid trailer was released. The live action Little Mermaid trailer was released. And Ariel is played by Halle Bailey, who is Black.
Oh, yes.
And I think she's gorgeous and she's got a beautiful voice. And I'm super excited to see the live action version. And Melissa McCarthy's playing Ursula.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm so excited.
That's awesome.
Daveed Diggs, I think, is playing Sebastian. Like, it's going to be fantastic. I'm super excited about it. The thing is, though, that of course it's a little controversial, and there are people out there who are, you know, being jerks about it and being racist, and, you know, saying in the mermaids and somehow in the tradition and scientific whatever mermaids, there's science of mermaids somehow now, and mermaids have to be a certain color. The logic just completely falls apart. But my point is, this is what's happening. So my TikTok feed is full of videos of little girls who are black, primarily black, some boys, mostly girls. So people are taking videos of their kids watching this trailer and finding out that Ariel is black. And I'm telling you, JoyGenea, it is like every inch of, it's the most wholesome. It's the most amazing. These little girls, their faces, they're lighting up. They don't believe it. They're just, it's just the most, this is intended to elicit an emotional response. And it does. And it does. Because if you can watch that and not think that a black Ariel is a great idea, then you are a heartless psychopath. Because, oh my gosh.
Right.
The joy on these girls' faces. And so it's just amazing. So because I turn to social media for this is what it's for. Yes. I watch every single one that comes across, because if I watch every single one that comes across and I like every single one that comes across, I'm going to get more.
Yes.
And that's how you manipulate it.
It is. That's how
you engage with the content that elicits the emotional response that you want from the tool.
My algorithms get massively manipulated. In fact, I have more than enough people in my life that are tech challenged.
Yeah.
And they call me and go, can you look for this? Can you find this?
So you search things and then
so I'm all over the place. And so I get this wide variety of stuff, and it makes me smile, because I'm like, I'm messing with you. Like it helps me to not fit into a particular bucket where they're like, we figured her out. Oh, wait a minute. Why is she Googling how to make that gun safety? And it's like, well, because I was cleaning it, and now it's and then in the next sentence, I'm looking at something else that they're like, this.
Well, and that's part of it, right? Part of it is we are humans, and we are not easily defined or put into boxes, and algorithms do that. You know, the joy of discovery of like shopping at a bookstore is that you're going to run into things that you wouldn't think to run into. You're not going to get that on Amazon when you're buying books, because it's going to serve you more of something that is related to what you have, or that to what's already in your cart. You know, it's but when you understand what it is, you can be intentional about it.
Correct. And so we wanted to just talk about that. Like, be clear. This is out there. This is a huge part of marketing.
Right.
Because marketing is numbers. It really is. It's analytics. It's okay, how do we get the most people in front of this thing?
So I would say clickbait kind of creates some sort of very strong, very immediate emotional response that triggers an action. And it overcomes our logic. It overcomes our reason, and overcomes our intention and all of those things to say, oh my gosh, is that really the before and after of so-and-so's butt?
Right.
Like, and it overcomes all of our high level selves.
It does.
And reveals what we click on, reveals like the base level of our like lizard brains.
And then it feeds us more of that.
Yes.
So it's not like we were just standing in the grocery back in the day. I would stand in the grocery store and read the Inquirer, and that was about as close as I got.
Right. You wouldn't buy it. You would read it.
I would just look at it while standing in line.
Yeah.
Kind of out of,
did you read it, or was it kind of out of the corner of your eye?
No, I'd actually like take it on, hold it a little.
You hold it? Oh, you would hold it and touch it?
And then I'd put it back.
I wouldn't touch it. I would like read all the headlines, but I would pretend I wasn't.
Oh, no, I'd own it. But then I wasn't buying it. I'm like,
no.
And I think of that when it comes to click. That was one spot in a grocery store for 2 minutes.
Right.
And it still caught my attention. I looked at it. Now imagine if it's on every device. It's not in one spot anymore.
Right.
It's everywhere. And I don't think as a society we have come to translate that very well or to understand that.
Well, because we don't.
It's new. It's so new, and it's such an emotional hijack.
I don't know that it's new. I think the format is new.
I think the quantity is new. There's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I think the
closeness to us.
The closeness.
We're not on our best behavior like we are in a grocery store. We're not in public.
Right.
There's not like you look at your phone while you're on the toilet.
Hell, you're in conversations at restaurants. That's my favorite thing is sitting in a restaurant and seeing an entire family of 4 and nobody's talking. Like
they're all on their phones.
Yeah, they're all on their phones and they're texting each other. They'll get a smile and look at each other and smile and then text back. And I'm like, your feet from each other. I'm like, okay, but that's how they communicate. Okay.
Well, I mean, I send my husband TikToks and he's finally started sending them back to me. And I replied to his text because he texted me a TikTok and it was like the most amazing moment of my life. And he texted it to me and I responded, thank you so much for speaking my love language. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's definitely becoming part of our vernacular, part of who we are. So this is what kind of started it this morning. I don't look at the news very often. I'll admit it because it's just so heavy on the.
Oh, you're on Google News.
Yep. So I'm on a really basic, like open-ish.
It's like a news feed, like an RFF news feed.
Yes.
RSS news feed.
So
RFF. What is that?
It says Walmart will ban shoppers from an everyday practice that could hit millions of customers with a hidden fee. So I stopped right there and I'm like, okay, I'm going to click this, but what do I think it is? Like I make it a game. I'm like, okay, so what's the real story? Like what's the real thing?
I think it's you can only use credit cards and not debit cards.
Oh, that's pretty good. No.
But it's also in the US Sun, which is a crappy.
Oh yeah, that's why. But that's just right there. Notice we
stopped and it was only because you took the time to read it out loud.
Oh, see,
that all of a sudden that triggers, that triggers the logic parts of our brains.
It does.
And we're in this moment where we're in this logic parts of our brains. So
So what I typically like pause. I'm like, okay, who's
that could hit millions of customers. People won't be allowed to bring their own bags.
They will.
And you have to buy the bags.
Flip it around. In many states that are now banning plastic bags,
right?
It will be you bring your own, or there's a fee for that plastic bag that you walk out of Walmart with 8 million of.
Yeah, but it says we'll ban shoppers from an everyday practice.
An everyday practice of getting a free bag.
Oh, is that what you think it is?
Oh,
you already went and looked at it? Okay.
And that is exactly what it is.
That is exactly what it is.
What if the headline just said that?
Well, you wouldn't click on that. But here's the point. Here's the point though.
That and when I got there, like I had to scroll to actually get.
Well, yeah, because the point is you have to see all the ads. Here's the thing. This is what people don't understand and really just fundamentally don't understand about the internet. This is paid for with advertising.
Exactly.
And so the reason that clickbait exists is so the US Sun can get you to click on the things to go to their website and see the ads so they can charge people. Yeah. Yes. And it's the same reason why when you go find a recipe, you have to scroll past 17 years of history of the yam to get to the recipe that you went for because you're scrolling past ads. This is the thing. If we paid for the content that we consume on the internet, if we pay the subscription fees for our favorite newspapers, we paid for the Wall Street Journal, we pay for the New York Times, we pay for real news. They are supported through subscriptions, just like they were
just when it came as
paper format.
Correct.
But the U.S. Sun is not supported through subscriptions.
So then we participate.
Participate in this.
And that's a fundamental key thing.
It's a fundamental key thing.
Understand about clickbait. You're participating on a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Yes.
For free, and they want you there.
They want you there because you are their currency.
Right.
The user's eyes are their currency. So, they can't get ad revenue without our eyes. I mean, Facebook's free to users, but it's not free to businesses.
No, not at all.
You can have a page for free, but you're not going to get in front of anybody unless you pay for ads. Not anymore.
No.
And so the way that we think about the internet and the way that we think about the content that we're consuming there is nothing free. We're just paying with our information instead of our money
and our time.
Our time
and emotions. That's the really key thing I wind up bumping into, having been on the marketing side of things and seeing things from that side, and now working with neurodiverse people who can easily be distracted by squirrel, like the shiny thing, the thing that pops up, is that clickbait and those types of things. It's just not, they don't understand the why. And so the shiny attracts them and they click on all these things. And like, this was very interesting. I had a really good friend of mine who is a senior. And so she's not adjusted to all of this yet. Like she's still learning. And she sent me something and she's like, oh, I really like this shirt. Can you order it for me? And I went to this website and I went, no. I wouldn't give anybody my credit card on this website. I'm like, this is the scariest thing possible, but I really like the shirt. So we hunted it down from a place that I would order it. Like literally I put in the picture and it showed me other options of people that had,
because if you do a reverse image search, you're going to find
really gracious about understanding my no.
Yeah.
But yet I could tell she didn't understand, she
didn't really get the no.
What makes this a bad website? So I took a screenshot of it and just circled all the things that made it no.
Yep.
And she was like, oh, really? Oh, wow. Like we were around, I've been around it, exposed to it. So I know that, but I'm just finding that a lot of people aren't aware of an unhealthy website, what that kind of looks like, something that doesn't have an SSL on it to start with. And then I know, and they want me to give them my credit card.
No.
People are balmy. I'm like, this will be quick. But I find clickbait. It's part of, so I want things to be direct and straightforward. Walmart's going to start charging in some states for you to use a plastic bag. You're going to need to bring your own.
But see, if they said that, you wouldn't have to read the article, which means you wouldn't have to click on it, which means you wouldn't go to their website. You'd stick on the newsfeed website, which is a Google site, and they wouldn't make any money.
Which would be why I don't use or really do a ton of news anymore on the internet.
Really?
Yeah. I over the years of politics and stuff, I got myself out of the habit entirely. You know what? It's the most interesting thing, but if something major happens, people tell you about it. And then I might choose to like look for a very reputable story to read on the internet. But the rest of the news, people tell you when there's a mass shooting, people tell you about major world events, fires that are going on in other states. Like people tell me all sorts of the news, and I don't have to be connected to it to be emotionally hijacked throughout the day or
interesting
day. That's what I've learned.
Interesting.
9/11 taught me that I could, because I had to totally disconnect after that.
Oh yeah.
For a little while.
Yeah.
I was at an age where
a lot of us
really
did.
Sucked in.
Yeah.
And I learned that I'm like, wow, if something major happens, people will tell me. And I'm like, and the rest of it, me being connected to it, I can't do anything about almost all of it. So why, does knowing about it fix something? No. Does it change anything? Not exactly. It just makes me angry half the time.
Oh, well.
Except for nice news stories. People will send me happy, look what this person did,
Yeah, like the inspiring, save the puppy from the burning building.
Man that jumps into the river to, save a car that goes over the... I will read those, no problem.
Interesting. That's really interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
That, like, pulling this up was a rare thing, and that's part of why it's not very...
it's not very...
It's super random.
Yeah, it's super random because you don't go there much.
Right. So you will get literally all of the information.
See, and here's the thing. You can look at that. Versus the new Google News has a fresh look, brand new briefing, and customized topics. So you can click on that and then sort your own stuff and kind of tell them what you want to start with so that they get a head start on being able to do that.
But then would I really be getting the news if they only told me the things that I told them
you wanted to hear about?
Right.
Well, and this is why I get so frustrated when people talk about, like they talk about how angry their social media makes them. I'm like, you created that.
It represents
you built that. You built that a brick at a time with your own actions. Like every time you commented negatively on something that you didn't like, you commented on it, you interacted with it. So therefore, you told this algorithm that you wanted more of it. Every time you dislike something, you interact with it. you engage with it. And if you dislike things more than you like them, then you're teaching the algorithm that that's the emotional response you want to live in.
Yes.
You want to live in that place of anger and frustration and anxiety and resentment. Like, you want to be there. So when people talk about how negative it is, I'm like, you built it yourself with your own 2 hands and your own doom scrolling.
But you didn't. That's the interesting thing, is because of how the internet's built.
You didn't realize you were doing it.
No idea.
You didn't know you were doing that.
Did not
yes.
know, and now you're here, and
I'm telling you,
wipe it clean button.
But there is.
You mess
if
with
you
it like
you literally have to. You literally search for happy stories that make you happy. And you literally search for funny cat videos.
Yes.
And
comedians. I do
pregnancy like surprise pregnancy announcements, and stand-up comedians who are
maybe not exactly in my realm.
and an old episodes of the Golden Girls. And you literally search for nostalgia, joy, happy stuff.
Yeah.
And then you consume that, and all of a sudden it takes just a couple of weeks. It doesn't take long at all. Maybe a week, maybe 2. You'll see your entire news feeds starting to shift to the more pleasant,
to something that's a better balance. More probably in alignment with your tone and thinking and those kind of things. It is really interesting. So while we might work in marketing, one of us a lot more than the other, I'm not pointing fingers or anything, but it doesn't mean that we don't understand that system, and it doesn't mean that we don't want the best for everybody. That's what I would say. I want the best for people, and I definitely want more people to understand that clickbait isn't evil. Clickbait it's bait. You don't have to take it. Right, exactly. And you can have fun with it like I was.
Yep.
I knew by clicking that I'm going to get a pile of details.
And you're going to watch them come in for 3 days and not click on them.
Right.
And then the algorithms will give up because obviously they misread you.
Exactly. Just like when they tried to get me to purchase a whole new collection of arsenry and so forth after I wanted to figure out how to take this gun off safety. I'm just like, really? I'm like, come on, people. I inherited this thing. I'm trying to take care of it and understand it. And I'm like, and now this? You need to back off. But that's just it. I don't always understand the vastness of what's behind that until you get in a different lane.
And the thing is that here's kind of the secret of this. Nobody does. Yeah. So when they talk about an artificial intelligence and the black box, so there are algorithms running, and the people who architected them don't know what they do.
Yep.
That's what that means.
We didn't make that
that's what that means. It's a neural network. The people that wrote them can't fully explain them, and how the network comes to a conclusion based on what's input. Like, you can input a ton of information, and this network will come up with connections that nobody saw coming. No human could have predicted. That's why it's called machine learning, artificial intelligence, and they'll call it predictive analytics, or they'll call it,
there's a nice word.
The people who built it don't know what it does. Literally.
Because they built pieces and
parts.
Just like our brain, like it came together, and now it is putting connections between
I'm not saying that to scare people. I'm saying that because when you put Mark Zuckerberg in a panel in front of the Senate and he can't answer the question that they're asking, it's because he can't answer the question. It's because the question doesn't have an answer. It's because the data goes into a black box, and that black box finds connections in the data in a larger sense and then spits that out the other side. It's almost like if you've read Freakonomics.
Yes. Love it.
Right?
Yeah.
But Freakonomics is like a person did all of this research and made all of these weird connections between mall Santas and prostitutes. And why is that the one that sticks in my mind?
Well, it was kind of interesting.
Yeah. It was clickbait that I read. That's what it was in a book. But makes all kinds of connections that we couldn't have predicted, and that don't make any sense. And we don't know why they exist. We can speculate why they exist, but we don't know why they exist.
Speculation.
So these things are not being controlled by some sort of like masterful overlord. That's not how this works.
No, but we want
we want somebody to be responsible. We want somebody to blame when it's not working for, like
we're in a moment in time where that's not as possible.
No,
we have
it's
created
not.
Artificial intelligence. We are participating in a different chapter.
Yes.
Than we have been in before.
Yes.
And so there isn't an exact answer
and
to that.
Don't get me wrong, it's not the Terminator.
No.
Like that's not what we're talking about.
No.
Like this is not sentient, but it does connect things that we can't, our brains can't connect. That's the whole point. So when you ask the question, if you don't get an answer, it's not because somebody's refusing to tell you. It's because they honestly can't tell you. They honestly don't know. And so as we're thinking about this, remember that this is not some sort of like evil ploy to do anything other than make more money on your emotions, which is exactly what marketing's been doing the whole time.
From the dawn of
advertising.
The second it came along,
yes.
This is no different. This is
no different. It's just mass scale manipulation.
So this is good. My ask for you is next time you are scrolling and you notice more of the advertising. Notice how it changes after your device hears you ask for something in particular.
Yeah, talk about going on a cruise at dinner with some friends and then look at the ads like right afterwards.
Especially if you're in a room with a smart device that's able to listen. And your phone picks up on these things.
Your phone can listen.
It's fascinating. So play with it. When you're going to click on something, guess what it's you're like, okay, so what's this going to say? Where did it come from? Like let's dig in.
And that's it. Some intention.
Yes.
Intention around it, understanding it keeps you from being hijacked by it.
Like
all the time. I mean, when I'm tired and frustrated, I mean, it just happens. But
well, thank you for joining us today on If These Heels Could Talk. I know I've learned some things. This has been really
this has been fun. This has been a fun conversation, but we really should come up with a clickbait title now.
No, we're not.